Hey, it's Kelly here. Just wanted to take a quick second to tell you that if you're enjoying the Made to Sustain podcast, you should check out madeToSustain.com. Made to Sustain covers so many topics and really encompasses the complete value chain around food sustainability. From sustainable recipes to figuring out how to source sustainable ingredients in your own grocery store, to even learning about how you can use and reduce your food waste at home. MadeToSustain.com is full of actionable ways that you can make an impact and help you make informed decisions when it matters the most. You can check out things like our seasonal produce guide, seasonal plant-forward meal plans, and explore our directory of sustainable products. Make sure you sign up to our email list where you'll get all the latest updates straight to your inbox so you're always informed. Now back to the episode.
Right now, globally, we grow 1.5 times the amount of food we need to feed everyone in the world, and yet so much goes to waste. In the U.S., 30 to 40% at all different levels in the supply chain. So that's probably a longer answer than you wanted, but it's something I'm absolutely obsessed with. And I think, something that everyone understands. Like, why is wasted food bad? Like, it's terrible for the environment, and all the reasons we know, but it's also just so many people are hungry and nutritionally hungry too.
I am so excited for this week's episode of the Made to Sustain podcast. My guest today is Anna Hammond, who is the founder and CEO of Matriark Foods. I've been working with Matriark since 2023, and they are just such a cool brand. And they really are a leading company within the upcycled food space. And one thing that I love about them, which we're going to talk about a little bit more on today's episode, which is so different, and I loved from the very start, is that they actually are labeling their carbon impact and their overall environmental impact on their package, which is just so innovative, and it's something I really admire about the company. I learned so much about Anna and about Matriark in this episode. They cover a wide range of areas, from food service to consumer packaged goods to even food security and food banks, which is an area I don't see a lot of people covering. And Matriark Foods is one of the brands that we have on our Sustainable Brand to Support page, so you can definitely find it on our website there. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I did. Hey everyone, welcome to the Made to Sustain podcast. I'm your host, Kelly D'Amico, and I'm thrilled to be here with our guest, Anna Hammond from Matriark Foods. Hey Anna, how are you?
Good morning.
How's your day so far?
It's great. It's a beautiful day in New York City. Been working since 5:30. I love an early day.
Hopefully start early, end early, and then you're ready for a good weekend.
Well, anyone who's listening who has a startup or an emerging brand knows that there is only start early and end late. But yeah.
Not quite a balance there, but you're doing some great work.
Thank you.
So I like to ask all of my guests on the show, what is the most interesting thing you've eaten lately?
Oh, wow. Well, it was my birthday last week, and my husband took me to Foul Witch, which is a restaurant in New York on the Lower East Side, co-founded by Brandon Hoy of Roberta's. But it's sort of it's a fancy restaurant. It's not pizza, although pizza can be fancy, and I love pizza all day long. But there was a dish on the menu that was new potatoes with paddlefish and a beurre blanc. And it was so original and so amazing. And I keep thinking about it. And we don't eat out a lot. We very rarely eat, fancy restaurant food, but it was very special. But the other thing I always eat almost every day, I'm obsessed with Homa-Dash Taki's white mustache yogurt. And so I had one of those for breakfast. And it never ceases to give me a good thrill.
Well, happy birthday. I love it when you go out to eat and you have a good meal that you can't stop thinking about for like days or weeks on end. That's how you know it was really delicious.
Yeah, well, having spent many years feeding 3 boys, I appreciate when a meal is cooked for me. Still, probably until my dying day, going out to a great restaurant is still pretty special.
Yeah, absolutely. So, are you worried about climate change affecting any of the delicious foods that you've eaten?
I mean, I'm always worried about climate change, and I guess I don't usually worry about it for myself, but I worry about it for communities at risk and my grandchildren, and the health and well being of the world, really. And that's what drives the business every day, and keeps our value proposition at the forefront of our work. So yes, yes, and.
Absolutely. So, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about what Matriarch Foods is? And I know I've seen you from the get go, but for anyone that might not know, what do you do and what's your mission?
Yeah, so Matriarch's an environmental impact food company, and we upcycle farm surplus and remnants from large vegetable manufacturing facilities into products for food service, retail, and emergency food. And we've created a food safe compliant supply chain working with networks of farmers as well as large manufacturing facilities to utilize those ingredients that would otherwise go to waste. And we make delicious products that are ingredients and also pantry staples for people to eat and participate in doing better for the environment through the transformation of our food system.
That's great. And I've tried all of your tomato sauces, and I think the spicy arrabbiata one is my favorite.
Yeah, that's our bestseller, and it's very spicy. So I'm amused by that because you always think people like sort of more mild flavors, but that one has a real kick, and people really love it.
I really liked it on pizza. We had a pizza night and we used the spicy one, and it was just such a different experience. I also love pizza, being from New Jersey. You know, we have
Yes.
some great pizza over here, and it was just so different. You know, you always get the standard mild sauce on a pizza, but the spicy one just made it so much different and so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean that's those are our retail products, but people love that, and also people who camp love to take it and make homemade pizza on the campfire because it's a
Oh
carton,
wow.
easy easy to open, and then you can flatten it up to pack out. So yeah, that's a favorite.
Yeah, I guess, and then you don't have to worry about carrying a glass jar and then like
Right,
that too.
right.
Yeah. Wow, I never thought about that. How did you decide to go with the Tetra Pak packaging
I mean,
over like a traditional glass jar?
a couple of reasons. Some circumstantial and some environmental. One of the things that people don't think about with glass and cans is yes, they're recyclable, but they're also very heavy. And so when they're transported, they use a lot of fossil fuel. So one truckload of Tetra cartons is 9 truckloads on the road of glass or cans. So from that kind of environmental impact perspective, it can be a better way to go. And then also, of course, when you're transporting it, once it's been filled, it's lighter. And then we had an opportunity to work with a manufacturer who had just installed the Tetra Recart packaging system, which is quite large and complicated and requires very big minimum order quantities. But that's why we went into that packaging when we first started. It's also what we use for some of our food service products, but we also do package in other formats like large drums and Sholey bags for food service. And we're looking at doing a couple of, since the main purpose of the business is diverting waste from landfill.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't realize that you were also in food service. That's great.
Yeah, actually, there's 3 channels to the business: food service, which is
Mhm.
really the engine of the business, and then retail, which is, technically like a smaller part of what we do, but publicly what a lot of people see or most people see. And then
Mhm.
we just launched a product for food banks and emergency food. And those are sales that go direct to food banks, or we just launched on the Feeding American marketplace a couple of weeks ago.
Wow. And are they all the same product then? So are they all tomato sauce and soup, or what are these new products?
They're all soups and sauces, but in food service, we have four products. One is a new cauliflower product we're just launching now, but the first product we put on the market was a vegetable broth concentrate, which is made from the tops and tails of carrot, onions, and celery, and that is primarily a food service product. So one carton can make over 2 gallons of broth, and super clean label, no additives, etc. And then we have a liquid mirepoix, which is just carrot, celery, and onions pureed in a large 20-pound and 40-pound bags. We also sell that as an ingredient, and it's an ingredient in our soup that we just launched for food banks. And then a passata, which is pureed tomatoes, a little bit of roasted garlic and salt. And that's a food service product that gets used by companies like Google and Compass Group as a standard pizza sauce in some of the cafes. And then our retail products are the 3 tomato sauces currently. And then the 7th product is the vegetable harvest stew, which is in a shelf-stable carton and has navy beans and kale and carrots and the upcycled broth as well. So those are that's the product mix right now. Always working on new things though.
Well, I did not realize how vast your portfolio was. I really thought it was the shelf stable soups and the tomato sauces. So that's really cool. But I mean, I've done a lot of work with food service, and some of the ingredients that go into making, a soup that's already available and on the shelf are not exactly clean label. I mean, if they get the job done for the chefs in the back, right? They can just, pour it into a pot and mix it up and heat it up. But it's a nice idea when you're able to save them time while upcycling products and delivering great taste and texture and flavor too.
Yeah, well, really, we check a lot of boxes. We have a very clean deck. We're upcycling.
Mm-hmm.
We have data-backed information on the environmental impacts. We're a certified women-owned business. And, our products are also time savers. So that's really been how, as an emerging brand, we've really been able to crack into that very complex market of food service. But food service is super interesting because, as you know, because you've worked in it, it's where over 50% of meals are eaten in this country, from business
Mm-hmm.
and industry to college and university, K through 12, hospitals, et cetera. So we launched in food service because we felt that was where we could make the greatest impact the most quickly.
Yeah, and I think it's 2/3 of all meals are eaten away from home, which is so different now than what it was 10, 20 years ago. We're just always on the go now. So I think it's a great avenue to do that. How are your food service customers messaging the sustainability impact on their, you listed off a bunch of claims and you checked a lot of boxes. Are they able to list that on their package or like in their establishments?
In the establishments, absolutely. And we provide, and we also work together with our food service partners to develop materials that tell the story of sustainability, of upcycling, of a women-owned business. So, the messaging is a huge part of that, actually. And living in the story of it then also, because customers are very interested in environmental impact, and younger customers are really demanding it, actually. So we've hit a kind of great moment in food systems transformation of being able to work really closely with our partners and not just be another vendor with a paste or something.
Yeah, and that's so differentiated and helps you stand out so much.
Yeah, and it's the only way to disrupt. You have to bring something new, and I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, the food has to be delicious, and people always say that first, and I'm like, yes, and that is the obvious thing. You want to be making delicious food, otherwise people won't eat it. But
Mm-hmm.
also now you just have to be paying attention to the environment and creating greater access and clean label and things that aren't going to make people sick. So it's a really amazing time to be working in this space.
I feel like the food industry is always changing, right? When I first got started in the industry, taste wasn't really a priority, right? People just wanted healthy food and they didn't care what it tasted like. And now I think it's cyclical and we're going back to, of course, like taste needs to come first before anything else. And now so many different things are changing in what people are actually looking for in food, whether it's health related things, whether it's environmental related causes or claims, and then obviously tasting good. So I think the bar keeps moving for people.
Yeah, it does. I think that everyone, though, is starting to come together on, either because their customers are asking for it, or, they see the writing on the wall with international requirements about reporting that climate friendly food just has to be a focus, and data backed climate friendly food, even more so. So it's a
Yeah.
combination of desire and also necessity.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that impressed me the most about Matriarch when I first saw you is how clear your climate impact was on your packaging. How did you get the idea to message it that way?
It's funny because it just, from the beginning, we just wanted to tell the clear story and be fully transparent about what we were doing. So, I think one of the things that differentiates us as a company is that we started out with impact as our main driver and creating a business that could drive impact. And we really never veer from that. So initially we were just tracking, how many vegetables are we diverting from landfill? How much byproduct are we diverting from landfill? And then we were able to, because of the growing data and analysis systems with Refed, and now we work also with Planet Forward to do full life cycle analyses on all of our products. We're able to do that in a fully transparent, data-backed way. But from the beginning, we've been measuring what we were preventing from going to landfill. And it was always so amazing to people that, you could have a pound of product that is also a pound of vegetables out of landfill, or, a pound of products that's 0.9, pound. If you're adding the other ingredients or water or whatever. So when we launched our first products, which were these little frozen purees that we made out of the Fork Food Lab in Maine, as part of our packaging, we talked about the farm we were working with. We talked about what the quality of the vegetables were, why we were upcycling them. We weren't even using the word upcycling at that point, but how many pounds of vegetable from those farms, from that farm surplus or imperfects that we were using in the product. So it's just been from the beginning, really.
Yeah. It seems like you've come a long way and you've done so much in a short amount of time, but how did the mission all get started?
Yeah. So before launching the company, I spent most of my career, or really all of my career before founding Matriarch, in the nonprofit world, and most recently building a healthy eating program for youth and families living in public housing in New York City. And I always give this stat, and now I feel like I've said it so many times, but I think people are always shocked by it, that the number of people living in public housing in New York City makes public housing in New York technically the 10th largest city in the United States by number of people living there.
Wow.
So, yeah, it is just,
I
it's
didn't
just
know that.
a lot of people, and
Mhm.
so many people suffering from diet related illness, very little access to healthy food, technically in food deserts, as food deserts are described in New York City, which is, in the United States, a food desert is technically if you can't get fresh or healthy food within a mile. But since
Mhm.
Manhattan, since New York is compact, it's less than a mile. And we just experience like so much desire for healthy food, very little access, and we were bringing surplus food from the farm that was connected to the program, as well as other farms in the area that they were donating, and saw this also incredible need for small and mid-scale farms to have extra income and not lose, all that money that they had spent, planting, harvesting, transporting into nothing. So that really was the main inspiration, was just seeing this opportunity to solve three things simultaneously. And then also, I had done a little bit of work in India studying the national feeding program for schools there, and saw how in big cities in India there was a manufacturing system for bringing large amounts of food from rural areas and producing really healthy, clean food for the state-run schools. And I thought, if it can happen there, it should be happening here. So those were really the inspirations for the business, and wanting to create a business model that's sustainable.
That's great. And I love the name too. I think Matriarch is an awesome name. I don't know where the inspiration for that came from, but it's one
Well,
of the best I've seen.
it comes from my grandmother's to some extent. Also, I have 3 sons and now 4 grandchildren. So technically, I'm moving into the matriarch position in the family. There's many facts around, women and women-owned businesses providing great things for their communities and having massive impact. We need more women-owned businesses in this world to impact communities from a healthy perspective. And then there's a little twist at the end with the ARK. I'm sure you've noticed it's not spelled
Yep.
with the CH. And that's a reference to, to the Ark and people coming together during an environmental crisis to kind of, to save, to save animals and people from extinction. So that's
Yeah,
that's the history of the name.
I love that. So much meaning behind one little name. It's really cool. When I was speaking with Lydia from Renewal Mill, one of the challenges that she mentioned to me was the supply chain and getting and sourcing the materials. Do you experience that same problem, or what's the biggest challenge that you're having with supplying your upcycled materials?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for us, the supply chain is not a challenge. Of course, when we were developing it, and also love Renewal Mill, they are great friends and colleagues, and we've been in accelerator programs together. And Lydia and our marketing manager are friends and work together in all kinds of collaborations. So it's an amazing company. But we developed very early on relationships with a couple of large vegetable fresh cut facilities on the eastern seaboard, as well as a network of small and mid-scale farmers in New York State originally. Now we also work with a group of farmers in California, and we are, expanding to different regions, Wisconsin and Minnesota being next. And we developed a food safe compliance supply chain at a very large scale very early on. And obviously, there was a long process of doing that. We started working with one small fresh cut facility in New York, and then the company didn't want to finalize all the compliance documents that you need to produce food. And that actually is something that regular people who are eating food aren't thinking about. Yes, when there's a problem or there's an outbreak of salmonella or E. coli, everyone's like, oh, what happened? What happened in the supply chain? But normally when you're eating food, you're not thinking, oh, there was a list of, 18 documents that had to be, that had to be submitted to produce this very box of whatever you're eating.
Right.
Food safety in this country actually is very well done for the most part. There's always breakdowns in that system, and there are more often breakdowns when things get too big, and more in animals than in vegetables, really. But we developed that very early on because we have huge ambitions to scale. And without a dedicated supply chain, very hard to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's impressive that you were able to see that from the get go, how important your supply chain is. I don't think many small companies think about that as their very first step. So that's great that that's where you started from square one.
Yeah, and sometimes that happens because you're in a way lucky early on to encounter a challenge, So that first
Yeah.
relationship that we had with the manufacturer, even though it was a total pain in the butt, that we had gone through the whole process of developing a product and getting things to the co-packer and all of that. But at the end of the day, when their legal department was going back and forth about, us signing some kinds of waivers and all of this, I was just like, this is a potential huge risk to the business. And so I just picked up the phone and started calling big fresh cut facilities and, got a couple of introductions too from our manufacturer at the time. And, explained what we were trying to do and explained the business model of it. And they were curious and interested and invited us down to see the facilities and went through the process of doing an analysis of the supply chain and what could the benefits be. Loved the story, knew that the writing was kind of on the wall. So, we developed these relationships very early on, and they have then, of course, through sort of a network effect, allowed us to really expand our impact hugely and also be a trusted partner because we have all of that stuff in place. I guess what I'm only saying is that, what do they say, that luck is being prepared or there's some phrase about that. I never can remember what it is, but when you're building a business, you kind of have to be very much heads down, shoulder to the wheel in your day-to-day operations. But if you're not thinking forward and de-risking as you're going along, you're not going to be able to grow. So yeah, I guess a combination of luck and expertise and thinking ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you most proud of your accomplishments to date with Matriark?
I think there are two things that I'm most proud of. One is launching recently this product for food banks and emergency food, which has been a dream for the company really since the beginning, and getting that on the Feeding America marketplace, which is the national marketplace for food banks, and starting to kind of disrupt that system with really great, healthy food. It's good for people and also provides more revenue for regional farmers. And then I think the other thing I'm really proud of is that we've built such amazing partnerships across the entire food system. And that's from our suppliers to our manufacturers to people who buy our products to students on college campuses who care about the environment to our retail partners and people who buy our products on Fresh Direct or Whole Foods. And it doesn't matter who the person is or what their background is. Everyone is excited about good quality food that's great for American farmers, good for the environment, and delicious. And I think it just bringing together very broad demographic around a positive, hopeful, transformative product and movement, really, and activating people is something that we feel really proud of also.
We're going to take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors. This episode of the Made to Sustain podcast is brought to you with the support of Juneberry Ridge in Norwood, North Carolina. There aren't many places quite like it. Juneberry Ridge is an expansive farm set on the foothills of the Uwharrie Mountains, and it's a farm designed to be a destination to nourish, educate, and build a better future. It's a place that welcomes guests from all over the country to reconnect with nature, to retreat into comfy, cozy cabins, and enjoy delicious farm fresh food. Every experience at Juneberry Ridge is prepared through a partnership amongst the land, the animals, the farmers who work it, and a culinary team whose mission it is to awaken curiosity for seasonal eating. The foods grown at Juneberry Ridge are not optimized for size and scale like conventional farming practices, but through regenerative practices that promote the health of you, the plant, and the planet. Their motto at Juneberry Ridge is to let nature lead. I was so grateful I got to visit this special place in North Carolina, and I think you will be too. They have so many activities from mixology courses to forest bathing to bottle feeding baby lambs, and even the occasional concert. There's so much to do here, and they really invite the community to come in and learn more about the future of farming. You can learn more about farm stays, about other activities, and about education opportunities at juneberry.com. Hey, it's Kelly here. Just wanted to take a quick second to tell you that if you're enjoying the Made to Sustain podcast, you should check out madetosustain.com. Made to Sustain covers so many topics and really encompasses the complete value chain around food sustainability. From sustainable recipes to figuring out how to source sustainable ingredients in your own grocery store to even learning about how you can use and reduce your food waste at home. MadeToSustain.com is full of actionable ways that you can make an impact and help you make informed decisions when it matters the most. You can check out things like our seasonal produce guide, seasonal plant-forward meal plans, and explore our directory of sustainable products. Make sure you sign up to our email list where you'll get all the latest updates straight to your inbox so you're always informed. Now back to the episode. Here at Made to Sustain, we're thrilled to support One Step Closer, or OSC's annual sustainability campaign, the PAC Pact. The OSC PAC Pact is a collective action campaign working to promote a circular economy and reduce single-use packaging in the natural products industry. To address this systematic issue, OSC is inspiring innovations in product packaging that minimize waste while raising consciousness about the environmental impact of our choices, empowering brands and packaging manufacturers and consumers to take action. OSC is calling on our peers to join us by pledging to make actionable progress around circular packaging. When you take the PAC Pact, you'll receive a discount code to shop select products from leading natural brands that you love, and you'll be automatically entered into a product giveaway from natural brands like Traditional Medicinals, Mountain Rose Herbs, and Banyan Botanicals. You'll also receive a user-friendly digital guidebook directly to your email to help you decipher packaging labels and certifications. Learn about how you can make an impact on the waste problem and fun ways you can involve your community. Conscious consumers can join the PAC Pact in the link below. By taking a PAC Pact, you'll be a beacon of inspiration, and we encourage you to share your story. Make sure you follow along as OSC champions innovation and circularity over the next few months through educational content, webinars, events, and more. I'm a proud member of the PAC Pact, and I hope you decide to join too. That's great. And I want to talk a little bit more about the food bank program because it's a space I'm not really familiar with. So what does the Feeding America marketplace look like, and how does it all work?
So the marketplace is only accessible to food banks. So I can't even go on the marketplace myself to see what's there. But Feeding America, in 2021 purchased 1.1 billion meals. The USDA in 2021 purchased 2.5 billion meals. So, they service 200 US food banks and 60,000 food pantries. And 1 in 4 children in this country is food insecure, 1 in 9 citizens in this country. So it really is the space where food is needed. It's a space where food is purchased, and often purchased, not always the best quality food is available for those food banks to purchase. So it's, we're really kind of seeking to disrupt that space in terms of being able to offer things that are delicious, that are culturally appropriate, that are made from environmentally sound products. So yeah, it's a huge need in this country and then all over the world. I mean, there's 750 million people in the world who are food insecure or facing famine even. And so it's a huge area where wasted food just becomes, amoral, really. I mean, right now, globally, we grow 1.5 times the amount of food we need to feed everyone in the world, and yet so much goes to waste. In the US, 30 to 40% at all different levels in the supply chain. So that's probably a longer answer than you wanted, but it's something I'm absolutely obsessed with. And I think, yeah, again, I mean, something that everyone understands. Like, why is wasted food bad? Like, it's terrible for the environment, and all the reasons we know, but it's also just so many people are hungry and nutritionally hungry too.
Yeah. I remember in grad school, I did a whole paper on it. It really ignited one of the reasons I wanted to start Made to Sustain and really help educate people on some of the problems that are associated with it. I don't know about you, but when I grew up, I was always told finish your plate, right? And don't let anything go to waste. And you got a little bit of ketchup in the bottle, fill it with water, and you're going to use the rest of that, right? But we don't think about the impact at such a broader scale and the resources that are wasted just to make that, time, labor, water, fertilizers, all of those inputs that we aren't really accounting for when we think about food that's wasted. So I really like the idea and your mission of taking the food that would have gone to waste and making it into a new product and giving it a new life.
Yeah, it's endlessly satisfying and interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's great that there's so many new companies starting up in this space too, like Renewal, like the Upcycled Foods Association. There's just so many people working towards the same mission. And I think, in masses is how we'll really make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any companies in this space that you admire? I mean, you're working with so many people and so many different companies, but any one in particular that you admire?
Yeah, I mean, in the upcycled food space, we were one of the 9 companies that founded the Upcycled Food Association. And that core group, obviously, we're still like very, very connected with each other. Renewal Mill, we talked about, Barnana, amazing company, and really doing incredible things around international supply chains and farmer development. They're a company that I admire very much in terms of how they've developed their supply chain and the economic impacts that they've been able to make on the communities that they work with, which is something that doesn't probably get talked enough about. It's like, yes, it's a great snack, but how does this snack actually impact the farmers that they work with? So those 2 companies really are standouts. And then there are a lot of other companies that are starting to do, starting to integrate upcycled ingredients in their products. And I think we're going to see a real explosion of products on the market that are upcycled certified when they, for example, purchase our pureed tomatoes that are upcycled and can make their sauces upcycled certified by the inclusion of ingredients. So it's a rosy future for the upcycled space.
That's great. I think it's something that resonates with people so much. And I'm glad it's really going to start picking up more because that's going to be the way to really move the needle in terms of food waste and food loss.
Yeah, it really is. And also in the food service sector, I think there's such an opportunity because the amount of food that's wasted in food service is equal to the amount of food that's wasted at the home level in the United States. And so those are just 2 real levers of potential change. And then, being able to upcycle from on-farm surplus, which is 83 million tons a year, vegetable byproducts, 17 million tons a year, or I think it's 19 actually, sorry. Once you start to make change in all of those spaces, then you start to see the effect in aggregate of the impact.
Yeah. Are there any potential roadblocks you're worried about moving forward?
I mean, only are we going to get there fast enough? And that's not really,
Yeah.
is that a roadblock? No, I think it's just getting consumers to really look at their labels, understand what they're buying, make the choice to purchase upcycled. Also, food service can take a long time, to develop the relationship and then get the product into the menuing system. And then as an emerging brand, we're building and flying at the same time. And we've taken some investment, although pretty small amount, which I'm kind of proud of actually. But we can always use a little more cash or good partners to work with us to expand and build the business faster for bigger impact. So it's not really roadblocks as much as just, I would like purchasers to get behind the ball a little more aggressively and realize the incredible impact that they can have by partnering or purchasing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important. And have you found that people understand the message of upcycling?
Yeah, I don't think that's a barrier really. I
Yeah.
think that, the truth of, certainly in retail, people look at price first and taste next and impact third. And that's pretty much true across the board with food service also. Price is always a huge challenge. There are a couple of big food companies that are doing upcycled things like Dole, for example. But when you're starting out, your prices are always higher because all the costs are just higher and your costs
Yeah.
are reduced as you scale. So I think that those are the barriers really to acceleration. And because it's hard to be fully educated about every detail of your food and make those decisions in real time. So, if you're in the grocery store and there's upcycled products, but they're not all in one aisle, you can complain about like international aisle. Yes, it should be integrated everywhere, but at the same time, it's like, that you can go to this place and get, get whatever it is, that ingredient, because it's sort of in that category.
Hmm.
Climate friendly food doesn't have an aisle in the grocery store yet. I think that's a
Hmm.
move that could really actually change people's buying habits because it wouldn't be such a struggle to find that thing if you really, really cared about it. And then same with, food service purchasing. It's still a tiny, tiny sliver of what's available. You have to be, as a consumer of anything, very conscientious about what you're purchasing and why. And right now, you kind of have to really want to do it and know where to find it.
Yeah. Easier said than done. That's for sure. I mean, even as someone, my platform is promoting sustainable brands, and I find it difficult to make sure that the ones that I found are the ones that are worthy of being promoted, right? I think it's easy to say your product is sustainable, but are you actually doing the work to get it there is a whole different story.
Right. But in terms of the upcycled message, there is no chef you ever talk to who's like, yeah, I want to waste food. Chefs naturally, it's like they naturally
Right.
aren't wasting food. And if they have a business, like when you waste food, they know that's putting money in the garbage. So,
Right.
I think and likewise with day to day consumers, they may not want to pay the premium or they may not have the time to think about it as a driving choice. But in terms of thinking about what is upcycled and what is it doing, I don't think it's not a big stretch for anyone to understand that it's valuable.
Yeah, agreed. What are your goals for Matriarch for the next 5 to 10 years? Where would you like to see Matriarch?
Grow, grow, grow. That really is our goal, is to, sort of 10x our impact, which obviously is 10xing our sales, to work with more partners who care about this and are driven to do something, who are really driven to action, to help grow this kind of activism around climate friendly food and food systems transformation. And then to work with some bigger companies that in strategic ways that can help accelerate the impact. We're working on some things in that arena that are exciting, and watch this space.
Yeah, that is exciting. And we're going to start wrapping up here with the last couple of questions. But what's your favorite product within the Matriarch portfolio? Anyone near and dear to your heart?
Well, arrabbiata, which is also based on the passata that we sell to food service. I really like them all. They're all my children, so I kind of like them all for different, all equally and for different reasons. And, since the vegetable harvest due for food banks is the recent college graduate, I'm especially proud of that one. But yeah, no, I love them all. And I'm always inspired by our team, which is an amazing team of people who are just such hard workers and really believe in what we're doing and also highly skilled at it.
Yeah. And what's something you wish more people understood about food sustainability?
Just look at your labels. It says it all. The ingredient panel on every piece of food you buy will tell you its story. And if there are words you can't pronounce, and there are things that let's say whether it's palm oil, that you've read about, like negative impacts that has on communities and the environment, but like just try and imagine where the ingredients are coming from. And if you can't imagine it, ask. But even like tomato sauces, for example, I always like to say, I love Italian tomatoes in Italy.
Right.
Most tomato sauces in this country are made with Italian canned tomatoes.
Yes, San Marzano. Mm-hmm.
And, great tomatoes, but just imagine how far those have to travel to get into that product. So just really thinking about where the ingredients, not just the product, come from it's just a good way to kind of start to think about that. Like just imagine the miles something has to travel. Add those up
Yeah.
and you'll start down a different path. Is it good for you? Is it good for the planet? Those are the two things.
Yeah, I think those are two really important points. And I always have a little bias and a little trouble with that because I've been in the industry for quite a while and know all these ingredients, but it's so easy to get wrapped up in understanding where are your foods coming from a different perspective, from a different point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not realistic to buy everything locally at all.
No.
But that's why Upcycled is such a great solution to kind of mitigating some of that just transportation impact, because you're starting with something that otherwise would have gone to landfill and created methane. Everything doesn't have to be an all or nothing. Sort of some portion of your purchasing should be good quality, environmentally positive impact food if you can afford it. And, again, sort of, tooting the horn of our new product for food banks is like, and if you can't, we have something for you also, for the time of your life when you're experiencing food insecurity. So we're really trying to kind of move toward more accessibility of climate friendly food products so everyone can participate in that.
I love that. I think it's a space that hasn't had enough attention on it. So I'm really glad that you're able to do that.
Yeah.
Where can folks buy your products?
So our retail products are in Whole Foods and Fresh Direct Northeast, and also on our website. We just launched our new Shopify site, so we're excited about that. Amazon also, if you shop on Amazon. If you're a food service operation, you can buy our products through Cisco or US Foods and a couple of smaller distributors as well. And you can reach out to us for that information. And then if you're a food bank, we will sell directly to you, or you can purchase through the Feeding America Marketplace.
Amazing. Any last thoughts to share today?
No, your questions covered it all. So thanks for the conversation.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming on today and for the super interesting conversation and for all of the great work that you're doing.
Great. Thanks so much.
And that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed learning all about Matriark Foods as much as I did. Some of the top takeaways that I had from today's episode are just to make sure that you're learning from your mistakes, because mistakes that you make early on always help influence your decisions later in life, and how you correct them really can help put you ahead in the long run. The next thing that I learned is that there's really more than one mission in supporting upcycled foods, and food security is still a fundamental problem that needs to be addressed by the food industry, and it's something that I really admire how Matriark is doing this, not only for consumers and the upcycled messaging there, but also through promoting food security and food banks. So it's just really an awesome mission, and I'm super impressed with how far Matriark is able to take this. And the last last thing, which might not seem that big of a deal, but I really enjoyed, is listening to hearing Anna talk about eating a San Marzano tomato in Italy, right? There's so many ways that we can just enjoy the foods locally to us. It's definitely not realistic to buy everything locally, but that's why Upcycled is such a great way to impact a lot of that waste. So I really enjoyed learning about that. So I hope you enjoyed the rest of the episode. I know I did. I think this conversation was super awesome. Make sure you check out Matriark on our Sustainable Brands to Support page on madetosustain.com. It's a resource directory that will show you all different sustainable brands that we support and work with regularly. And sometimes you'll even get a discount code. Make sure you follow along and you subscribe. There's only a few episodes left in this season. If you really do like this show, you can share it with a friend, because the best way that we can make an impact is together. And make sure you check out madetosustain.com for more great content on food sustainability that you can learn about and explore, and follow us along on our social channels at Made to Sustain. Thanks again so much for listening along. Please leave a review and share with a friend. Hope to see you again in a bit. Thanks. Bye.